Hello, everybody, and welcome to Libromancy, a podcast about the magic of books. I'm Josh, and today I'm talking about The Siege of Skyhold by John Bierce, so let's defend the magic of books. Wow, guys, I just can't explain how impressive and amazing this book was right now. I mean, I'm sure that if I want to, I could probably nitpick a little bit and find some things, like maybe he doesn't have to explain everything to us kind of over and over again, that we know how certain things work, but I'm not really going to fault it. This was a hugely fun book, a very intense book. There's a lot of emotional beats that get hit on multiple layers. There's the fun action-packed scenes. There's some heartfelt scenes. There's, again, those kind of growing scenes that we talked about. There's just so much. This was intense. All right, let's just try and do a little bit of a non-spoilery section. As I'm sure you guys know from the name of the book, The Siege of Skyhold, there is a siege at Skyhold. The Havathi are advancing, and they're going to attack. Now, they're not sure why. Well, we're kind of sure why, but we'll talk about that in a little bit when we get into the spoiler section. So let's see, I thought this book had a really good atmosphere. There's certain scenes that we'll talk about where we could talk about them a little bit. There's a scene in the Great Library that's very kind of like we're following somebody around who doesn't know where they're going in there. And you get that feeling of like, oh crap, I'm lost. I have to go this way. I'm trying to get out. I have to escape. And that was really, worked really well for me. I liked when we got into everybody's head as we switch, we're getting more viewpoints. And we're seeing more and more other characters' viewpoints. And so I like that we're getting them, and they all feel unique. You know, they're not just cookie cutters of the same people or the same kind of thoughts. We're getting different views, and it's really nice to see that. And also the sound of the siege magic, that was something that really contributed to the atmosphere, you know, before the actual siege kind of stuff started. Just the fact that this background noise, you know, through the siege and the weapons hitting the great wards is just going on and on and on, and it's drowning out everything else. And not even drowning everything out, but it's just there and always in the background, and it's just wearing down on your morale. And there's just, okay, we're just going to get into this because there's so much, you guys. I was writing down all like my favorite scenes, and not even my favorite scenes, but just like things that were really funny and like nice to talk about and good, you know, and it just keeps going and going. So we'll talk about the Great Wards for a second. So they're talking to Kandaron as they're headed back because he was obviously injured by when they went to retrieve the Exile Splinter. He's getting healed and he's doing much better, but he's still coughing a lot, doesn't have as strong of lungs. And they're like, Kandaron, we need to go back. You need to do this. You know, we need to boost up our morale. And she's like, you know, as far as morale goes, I found the best solution to that is just killing all my enemies. Everybody's morale's great afterwards. And everybody's like, well, okay, yes, this is true, but like there's a lot of other things we need to do. They finally do go back. Let's just get this plot out of the way. They make it back to Skyhold. Skyhold starts preparing for a siege. Hugh, Talia, Sabe, and Godric are sent out on a mission to meet up with the herdsman. The herdsman is sided with the Havathi. They attack, they blow up the sun fence, they basically let loose all the sunlings, and then they're brought back to prepare for the final, siege. The siege happens. There's a lot of fighting, and it was some pretty good written fighting, in my opinion. And I think it's hard to write sometimes fighting scenes like this because how much weight do you give to the magic scenes? How much weight do you give to them creating their spell forms in their mind? Do you spell out every single punch, everything they do? Do you generalize it? And I think John Bierce has done a really good job of kind of blending this where we're getting to see kind of the behind the scenes and the internal, and we're getting to see the external a little bit. And then that's the end of the scene, or that's the end of the siege. They're able to fight off the great powers, and Heliothrax, the great dragon who has decided to throw in with the Havathi, and he throws in, she, I don't remember if it's a boy or girl right now, but Heliothrax is the dumbest. I mean, I cannot imagine. You are a great power. You are the great power, basically. Everybody kind of looks up to you. You have a solar affinity, one of the most powerful. You are always in sunlight. You have a special attack spell named after you, the Eye of Heliothrax, that basically only you can perform. It melts sand into glass in just the regular daytime. You have a dragon affinity. You've remodeled yourself. You are nigh invincible. And the way the Havathi gets you to join their side is they hide your home from you? Are you kidding me? you are a great power, a super great power, and they hide your home from you, and they're like, yeah, sorry, nothing we can do about it. Like, you're just going to have to help us and join with us, and, we'll definitely pull those illusions off of your house and your lair, and you can have those back. Yeah, and Kendra is like, did they kick you out? Did they finally push you out? And it's like, no, they just hid it from me, and you're going to take it lying down, and you're not going to fight them and attack them. I bet if you killed that illusion mage, guess what would happen? I bet you'd find your home. But how the frick do you lose your home? It's your home. Sorry, I'm not trying to get too into this, Heliothorax, but like, come on, like you are, I just can't understand. So you're going to go with the people who did this to you in the first place. They hurt you. They did something against you, and now you teamed up with them so they will undo the hurt. And I'll crap gold. That's what's going to happen. Yep. They'll release you, and I will crap some gold and be the richest man in the world. It's a win-win for both of us here. And clearly the Havathi have never broken a deal in good faith. They've clearly never done anything bad. Oh, wait, what was that continent? Nope, not continent. What was that republic they used to look up to? The Empire? The Athonian Empire. Oh my gosh. And what did the Athonian Empire do? Ithonian? They did a lot of really bad stuff. And you're going to follow in their footsteps. You're totally going to just let everybody be free. Heliothorax is, is a walking time bomb for you guys, but he's an okay one because we had to trick him to join our stuff. Just let's go move past him. There's so much we have to talk about here. We'll go back to Hewitt and the gang, right? They get their extra planar storage. That's a pretty fun scene. They're getting it and talking about it. Talia has to get it. The only spot she doesn't have her tattoos, which is around her mouth. So she can make it look like she's pulling. I guess they can make it look like they're pulling anything out of their mouth anyway, because as far as I can tell, they don't actually have to like reach into their tattoo to grab it. Like, Alustin can grab it from wherever, but like, I guess in the beginning, of course, it's easier if you kind of make it work that way. But so she's like spitting up weapons and pulling them out of her mouth. Super funny. And let's talk about kind of their level up, let's to say, for this book. So Talia gets a bone ward inscribed into her bones, some armor, so that she's a little bit more protected and she's not in danger because she can't use generic wards because they cause too much fire or hurt her too much. Sabe, she gets the best. She gets her fluffy cloud armor. No, I'm just kidding. She gets storm armor, but she's finally figured out how to combine the wind and the water into, a storm, and then to use that as her armor with her lightning. And I like that Sabe has a lot of talking about, like, what's her purpose going to be? She's like, what do I want to be? What do I want to do? Like, I want to be a battle mage, but, like, why do I want to be a battle mage? What does that mean for me? Am I going to be a battle mage and just be a mercenary? And she's like, no, I want to take down the great powers and I want to stop them. And it's so good to see that, like, everybody is, like, supportive of her. Like, Kandarin's supportive of her, and Alinea, her grandmother's supportive, but she's like, her grandmother's like, you can't do it. It's really tough. Like, if you can figure it out, then do it, because I'm the last one. We can't pass the storm seed anymore. It's too powerful. It'll kill the next person. And she's like, I dealt with this power by just becoming a monster. Like, yeah, I killed thousands of people with my storms and my lack of storms because of my power, but that's why I drink so much. There's nothing else I can do. I have to be strong enough to protect our family, because if I don't, then another great power will come in and take over and kill us all, and we'll all die and, be spread apart and scattered. But she didn't want to do that. She wanted to be like Sabe. She wanted to change the powers and just protect her family. But the world they're in is just, that's how it is, right? Let's talk about Godric for a minute. So Godric gets an elemental into his suit, into his armor suit, which is pretty cool. Like, they take two weapons from the Havathi Sacred Swordsman and they basically sacrifice them, combine them into an earth steel elemental, and then that elemental lives with Godric in his extraplanar space, controls his armor basically, just keeps the mana flow running. Super impressive. And it was so fun to see Clancastus, who have come to help the siege because it sounded like fun. And they're also here to steal books, but that's on the down low, of course. They are helping Godric do this because this is one of their things. They use it with fire elementals, not to necessarily bind them to the thing, but to create them. And this is going to be a bit more of a permanent one, right? But he's like, this is, does anybody think it's weird to sacrifice two weapons? And the Clancastus member's like, oh yeah, this is super unethical. It's basically human sacrifice. And everybody's like, oh, well, it's not really. Like, they're very loyal to Havathi. They're just bad. And he's like, yeah, I can't lie to myself about this. Like, they are sentient beings that we are about to kill. And so it's, I have to keep myself honest about this so that I don't go too far. Because they are specifically weapons. That's the weird thing. Like, are they living? Are they not? They have an undying hatred of you. They did try to kill you. So, they use him. And he gets his elemental, frees up his armor a lot. It's so fun. Now, Hugh has been working on a special Stormward crown. Oh, sorry, I spoiled the name of it. Just basically wards on crystals that he can reconfigure and throw around. And they name it the Stormward's crown. And in my head, for some reason, in the beginning, I thought he only had like 3 to 5 that would circle around his head, and then they'd kind of either go out and do something, or they just he'd use them for artillery. Artillery sounds way too long range. No, he would use them for whatever, but he actually has a lot more of them. He's got like 20 plus, and he's using them to create all sorts of wards and move things around. There's so much there. There were so many good fights in the scene where Hugh and Talia and Sebe and Godric are fighting Amelia, the Crystal and Shadow Mage, and the way they stop her, but then Hugh actually just kills her kind of in cold blood, and it's like she wouldn't have stopped. Anytime as soon as she got Shadow, she was out of here, and that was intense. That's a deep moment, but we're going to get to another deep moment in a second. And Mackerel, our boy Mackerel's growing up, and he is scared / bewildered by pine cones. You can use them to ward him off. Mackerel is so funny. He's kind of evolved from like the super joke, and now he's kind of maturing and growing up, and he's getting better. And Hugh teaching the first year warlocks. That was such a nice scene where he's just like, you guys, I am so tired of listening to you talk about this thing, Thaddeus. Just like, please pick a partner, pick something, like do the work. It was so funny. It totally reminded me of kind of being an upperclassman and trying to help people below you in your group, right? So, but I think we're going to have to talk about the biggest sadness, the second biggest sadness, because we haven't even hit the most important thing. And I'm already 13 minutes in. All right. Arthur dies. That was so heartbreaking. He goes to fight Heliothrax to help save Kandarin, and he destroys his ring, which has all of his iron in it, the huge Iron Mountain, and it does turn the tide of the fight. It stops the Hydra, it stops Heliothrax in its tracks. Heliothrax still lives through it, which I was like, come on, Heliothrax, just get out of here. Because I'm already mad at Heliothrax from the earlier rant, right? He hasn't redeemed himself yet, but Arthur just goes out like a boss, and it was so just tough. I mean, Godric's dad is dead now. I don't know where they're going to go next or how they're going to, well, I do, but for the purpose of this episode, I don't, right? There's so much going on, and to throw, there's always obviously going to be some deaths in a siege, but to kill Arthur, this was just kind of a gut punch. And we also lose Lorna of the Vaults. That was a tough one. I liked Lorna a lot. She's always kind of funny. They have that nice autism rep. You can clearly tell that she's at least autistic or Asperger's or high functioning to mid functioning, right? And I loved her viewpoint that we get where she talks about her feelings towards certain things and the way they are, and it totally clicks, and it was done, I think, really well. And I love that she's the super warder, right? She makes wards in insane amounts of wards, and she has wards in her chalk cloud that's always kind of surrounding her. And most spells don't make it past the 6th or 7th layer because it stops a little bit, pushes that information to the next section. That stops a little bit, pushes it to the next. And I'm like, that is just amazing. So smart, so intense. And then the way she kills the Tarnessus champion, the traitor, by sucking all the air out of his thing, so every time he uses a wind blast, he loses more and more air until the differential pops, and it basically just destroys him, along with her daggers, of course, but just so good. Okay, one more thing we're going to talk about, and then we're going to get to the true sadness here. Alustan's trek through the Great Library with Valia, that was impressive, where they're chasing him, and he sets loose an origami swarm on them, and Valia's like, you can't keep doing this. I have the Echo, or the Attuma affinity, which is a very impressive attunement. It's the Echo attunement, basically. Echo or ripple or kind of reverberation almost. And so you attack one thing, and if you can make it affect multiple things that are very similar, so you slash one piece of paper, you slash all the pieces of paper. But all the origami swarms are different animals, and they're all kind of mostly unique papers, and so they're too separate for the sympathy link to work. And he leads them on a merry chase through the library with the Sacred Swordsman. Oh boy, yeah, this is why you don't go investigating into the library until you're trained. Somebody gets turned into a book, somebody gets dissolved, multiple people get eaten by origami swarms, some books just straight up kill the people because they've attacked them, right? It's very scary. If he's able to lead them through. Well, not lead them through, but to shepherd them through. And this was the scene where that you were in Valia's viewpoint. And the scene is just like, okay, I had 3 people. Okay, but now I only have 2 people. Where am I going to go next? I have to get to here first. I need to go this way. We have to get out of here. Now I'm all alone. I just have to escape. It was very intense, and it was very good. But then this leads us to our most heartening betrayal, our saddest betrayal. Not heartening, it's very unheartening betrayal. Alustin betrays Kandarin and attacks her through the warlock bond that Hugh has with her, because when Kandarin first pacted with Hugh, she had too many clauses because she didn't trust Hugh. She couldn't know how he was going to turn out, so she wanted to have enough clauses to protect herself, but this causes their pact to be kind of brittle, you could say, and so he's able to attack her through that with his new affinity, an ink affinity. So he was dangerous with just a paper affinity. Now he's going to be super dangerous with an ink affinity. He does kill Anders, the silk mage, and the ceramic mage who was able to stand up to Heliothrax. So that is a great feat there. Unfortunately, he killed them, so this does not leave a lot of goodness for Skyhold, right? He's totally injured Kandarin. She's now in like hibernation status at the end of the book. And he's taken the Tongue Eater. And at first I was like, oh, Alustin, you can't take the Tongue Eater. Everybody only speaks Aethonian. It will just kill everybody, right? Except for like the Rodhan who have their own language. But he's like, no. He took the stomach of the Tongue Eater, and he's going to break all the languages out, and they're just going to destroy the world, right? Who knows how far they'll spread or if they'll stop it anywhere, right? And this is where we're getting a lot of multiversal stuff. We see that there are patrons basically behind the Havathi Empire in Kandarin, and they're in a shadow war, and that's why Kandarin can't directly go attack Havathi. And she also doesn't want to. She knows she made a mistake using the Exile Splinter the first time. She's not going to do it again, no matter the cost. But Havathi's doomed to die anyway. They just had a major defeat. Tens of thousands of soldiers and battle mages and archmages. Like 3 or 4 great powers at the minimum have died of theirs versus a couple on the Skyhold side. And we learned that the Aethonians stole the Tongue Eater from someone. Like the Aethonians didn't even know how powerful of an object they'd stolen. So I would have to wonder if they were using the kind of most basic function of eating a language and then storing it, and it's got even worse things behind it that could be released if Alustin breaks it. So I'm really interested to see where this next book is going to go. I'm not sure what's going to happen. Oh, also the Librarian Errants basically all betrayed Kandarin as well because they want Havathi to be destroyed. And we learned that Alustin's betrayal is really only 2 years old, since they were in Theris Tal when he gets the letter under the door, and he, uses in his jail, and that's what it kind of forces him to break out. And, we kind of all assumed it was about the Theris Tal incident, but no, it's about this betrayal that Kandarin doesn't want to destroy the Havathi. Well, she wants to destroy them outright, but she doesn't want to be like, yes, here's a plague, here's a sword that creates unstoppable fires. Let's go just run through that, destroy that in a day, and come back. She wants it to be nicer. It's less catastrophic. She's trying to look out for the small people. Part of why she sponsors so many liches is to also end the great powers. But that's it, you guys. I'm sorry. I talked a lot about everything. There was still so much in this book that we're missing. I'm excited to see what happens next in the last book. It is called Tongue Eater. I'm really excited. I hope to see where this goes. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks everybody for listening. Thanks to David Hillowitz for the intro and outro music. If you have any questions or comments, please send those to libromancypod@gmail.com. Please like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts from. And remember to defend the magic of books.